Hey everyone, welcome to Limitless Radiocast, episode 65. Hanging out with the amazing Josef Manuel today from Cutting Edge BJJ in New Jersey. We get into all kinds of awesome stuff, how he trains, how he's still training and winning and competing at a high level, even at Masters Division. Also, we get into how he became known as Cobra, the nickname that stuck because of the way he trains. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. The show is also being brought to you by Gateway Dental, located in Worcester, Ohio. They'll take care of all your dental needs. Be sure to check them out. Remember, Gateway Dental. Look for them on social media, website, everything. They're out there. Check them out. Also, this show is being brought to you by Thomas Webb of DeHoff Realtors, located in Stark County, Ohio. You in need of a realtor? Check out Thomas Webb. He is the man to go to. Check out the bio. Look at all his social media platforms to find him. He'll get you what you need. Check him out. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Hope everyone out there is doing well. Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it very much. So Chad and I have the great opportunity to hang out with Josef Manuel. He's a fourth degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and the owner and lead instructor of Cutting Edge Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Harrison, New Jersey. He's also had a plethora of podium filling tournaments. Also, won a world championship at 37 years old. We appreciate it so much, Josef, that you're hanging out with us, man. Thank you. Welcome.
Man, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here with you guys. I didn't win the worlds at 37. I gotta make sure.
Okay. You correct me up.
No worries. I just want to make sure the record's straight. We were runner up at the worlds in the roosterweight division. Okay. And that was 2011. I was 37 years old.
You were 37, yeah.
Man,
are you still competing?
If I had won the worlds, that would have changed my whole life, man. Not that I'm complaining. I'm not complaining about my life.
Sure. Isn't it crazy how that works though? Like, but that's in our world. Like, that's what everyone like at the top echelon, you guys like strive to be to get a world championship, because you're right. Let's be honest. It changes people's lives, right? Chad, you've talked about it before. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's a big thing to get that.
Yeah, with all the different events, and some people, depending on what tournament you like, they talk trash a little bit about the IBJJF. It doesn't matter. That's what people want to win still, right? Especially in the gi competition.
Yep.
That's what people really want, because that can change your life, seminars and all that stuff. So
yeah. I mean, I agree with you, Chad. Like I try to tell my students the same thing, how people are always complaining. And I just try to tell them, listen, there is no perfect institution. There's no organization that has perfection. And for the most part, for anyone who's participated in an IBJJF event, they're very punctual. That's one of my favorite things about the event is that
that's the best thing.
On at 10 a.m. You're on at 10 a.m. And I remember competing in Grappler's Quest and Nagas here in the local area, where they tell you you're on at 12 and then they change you to 3 and then an 8 and then 11 o'clock at night you're on, and adrenaline pumping all day. You got dumps, you got highs.
Dude, yeah.
I mean, so that's one of my favorite things about it. But yeah, you're right, man. A lot of people complain, but it still is the creme de la creme in terms of gi tournaments. That's the highest level you're going to get. We have to respect that. We have to appreciate that and do the best that we can to on our end, make change,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah. Speaking of those old school tournaments, Josef, did you ever do the Arnold Classic back in the day?
Man, that was in Cali. So it was a little,
they did one in Ohio, Columbus, back in the Midwest, but it just reminded me because I had buddies competing at like midnight because it was so far behind.
Yes. Unfortunately, I didn't make it to that one. I would watch from over here and see who competed and what the results were.
It sounds like it was good that you didn't compete, because you might not have got to roll till midnight.
It seriously was like a who's who of grappling at one time. Like Marcelo would do it, Salo, all those big names.
Yes.
But when it got to the colored belts, or the lower colored belts, I should say, man, they were 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. It was crazy.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I'm kind of shocked that I usually scour the internet for like footage, especially YouTube. I haven't seen any matches from there. I don't know who would have all those.
I wonder if they were recording stuff as much as they were.
Yeah, we'd have to look on YouTube, see if there's anything on there.
I wonder if it was getting like publicity.
I'm sure they were recording stuff, because I think Ricardo Amendolia, he posted something not too long ago, maybe about a year and a half, 2 years ago, of some fight that broke out one time. It was Dean Lister and all these guys were involved with that, and there was footage of it. So
he's got the deep footage, doesn't he, Ricardo?
Yeah, man, he's got an archive of that stuff, right?
Yeah,
the oldies with the goodies.
Yeah, like secret sauce of stuff. Mm-hmm. Joseph, for you, like when you saw, have you ever had the opportunity? And Chad and I have talked about this in the past, to get to watch some of that old stuff that a lot of people don't, and like kind of blown away a little bit. You're like, whoa, wait a minute. Like this isn't stuff that we see all the time in BJJ.
Yes, I have a lot of footage. I have my own archive of old school matches that I collected over the years.
Nice.
I still have VHS tapes.
Nice.
And I do have a lot of DVDs. You know, sometimes I think about it, like I'm like, man, I should just go in there, pull everything off the DVDs, and then just create an online archive of all these epic matches and historical matches. It's just, I don't have the time, man.
I was going to say, the time is always, it's hard, man.
Think about it, but then it's like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a great idea.
So many other projects that require my attention now.
Sure.
And maybe when I get a little older and I have the time and slow down a bit, I'll be able to go and then create a nice online archive, because it should be open source information for anybody that's a practitioner of the game to study the old matches and see how much the game has evolved, and just to get familiar with some of the names that were the names of the day at that time, that they were on the cover of Tatami magazine or Racing magazine. Yeah. Some people just have no idea, you know, they don't know about them.
Yeah. And that's one of the biggest things, like for Chad and I, being older, obviously, and he's my coach in BJJ, but not that matters, Chad. I'm just kidding. So I'm always intrigued to talk to guys that have had the opportunity to engage with those guys that have been around, or the old school guys and the guys that put our sport, this great martial art on the map and elevated it to be what it is today. You had the opportunity, like I know you've traveled and really sought out like a lot of different people to get that knowledge, which I think is amazing for people in the community to do. Like I'm always like, get as much knowledge as you can to make yourself better.
Yeah. You know, back then we didn't, it's so funny because just last night, you know, this weekend we have a grand event with my professor Rob Zamora. And it was so interesting last night. I didn't train, I just sat back, I recorded and I observed everything. And just in my mind, I was thinking to myself, like, you know, my students don't have to go through what I had to go through back in the day to travel, to seek knowledge. We're bringing them right here.
Bringing it to,
you know, right to their neighborhood. They don't have to go anywhere. I mean, that's cool and all, but to be honest with you, there is, you know, there's a lot of value and great lessons that you learn, that I learned in the time where I didn't have that easy access to so much knowledge.
Sure.
So I had to really go out and seek it and travel. And I'll be honest with you, from many different perspectives, but in this one, jiu-jitsu has taken me to places I never imagined I would be. You know, and that pursuit of knowledge, traveling to Brazil or across the US, back and forth, East and West Coast, you know, I've been to places I never imagined I'd be, you know, so it served many purposes, you know. But it was, you know, to further answer your question about what it felt like, it was surreal, man, to be able to sit with these guys and then just pick their brain. For the most part, every single one of them was gracious. I can't go down the list of names, but I have it on my bio, the list of names of all these pioneers that I had the opportunity to sit down with and pick their brain. They were all super gracious and they answered my questions. No one ever said like, oh, I'm not going to answer that, or they had a bad attitude. They were all super, super gracious, very helpful. And that helped me in turn as a competitor, because I was one of the things, one of my ideas or my perspective was I wanted to learn the art just as an enthusiast. Like I was curious.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then two, I was a practitioner, right? And then I was a competitor as well, you know. At the time, I didn't know that I was going to be a professor. But then, you know, all that information that I gathered and then used and then refined myself in competition, now I can pass down to my students, man. They have like this amazing source of information, you know.
And that's what we need, guys like you and Chad that have put in, you know, hours and hours and time and sought out the knowledge, because we wouldn't know, like I'm an underbelt and I wouldn't know that knowledge if I didn't have great people or resources like yourself to talk to or to get after it. You know what I mean? Like just ask, hang out, questions, whatever. And it's vital to this community. It dies without that. You know what I mean? Like people having that attitude.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. And that's what, Joseph, you took the words I was thinking as you said it. Like we had to go find things, right? Like Like, I mean, not go to your computer and find things.
Right.
Like, you
You
know,
have to catch a flight.
you had to, I mean,
you had to go to seminars. You had to travel.
Yeah, dude, I've said many times, like I was a seminar junkie. Like I started teaching, my first instructor was a blue belt, but then it got turned over to me as a 2-stripe white belt teaching classes. And it just did what I had to do. Right. But I remember driving like 4 hours to go to an Eddie Bravo seminar or, you know, whatever. You really had to seek it out, and you really, you know, it made you like it even, love it even more.
Yes, absolutely, man. I mean, and it was awesome. You know, it was awesome. Like I said, you know, I was seeking knowledge, and then I'd be somewhere. I remember one time you mentioned 4 hours. We drove from Jersey out to somewhere in Pennsylvania. It was like 4 hours out. I actually went to help a friend of mine that had a school there. He said that he had Cobra over there, right? And then unfortunately, he had a little split up in the school. So just the day before he had Cobra there, one student got up and took a bunch of students away. So he was like, "Oh man, Joe, I need your help, man. Can you bring some people over here?" I was like, "Man, I don't know if I could rally up that many people." To bring
4 hours
away. I can do a private lesson. You know, you guys should do a private lesson. So this way, at least Cobra leaves with, you know, some money in his pocket, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So I got a few people over here in Jersey, and we drove 4 hours, man. I had never been to that part of PA. The drive was amazing, you know, the scenery, the landscape was amazing. I'd never been over there. And then I get there, I meet this great champion at the time. I think that was like 2008. So he had already won the Worlds 2007, 2006. And then, so he was already like about 2-time world champion, and I was able to ask a lot of questions. He was very gracious. And then, so it was an awesome experience overall. And then that was knowledge that I used obviously in competition that helped me to win a lot of titles, and information that I was able to pass down to my students, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of titles, awesome. You clean house this year, man. Congratulations. You've been rocking it 2022. I'm like, I was looking at your bio and I'm like, I told Chad, I'm like, dang, I'm like, Joseph's like getting after it. Like he's like all over it this year.
So I had some goals, right? So I had competed from blue to black belt. And then I remember telling one of my black belts that I had to take a break from competition from 2013 until the November of 2021. Family things, right?
Sure.
But I told him when I get back in there, that list of competition accolades, I want to double it, but on the black belt list. Now, obviously, I'm not as young as I used to be, so I'm gonna have to do that in the master division. But it's all good. We're gonna get in there and mix it up. So we started a five tournament campaign from Masters Worlds to the Pans.
Nice. Okay.
I did preparation before the Masters Worlds, and then we have phenomenal results at the Worlds. I came up short in the finals. So I was like, all right. I like that. I wasn't upset that I lost because it just really put that fire.
It put it back. Yeah, it kept you driving.
Yeah. So then we mapped out a few other events between that and the Pans. So this way we can just do some experimentation, right? I was recording the matches. I was experimenting with some ideas, some things that I wanted to personally do. And I wanted to try to make an impact as much as I could, right? Because I'm not like a superstar competitor, but at least locally with my students, and then anyone that's a fan or follow on Instagram, I'm trying to kind of counter some of the culture that is taking away from that idea of creating a spectator sport, right?
Sure.
Jiu-jitsu is not a spectator sport. It can be a spectator sport. We just need to change some stuff. We can't sit around waiting for IBJJF to change rules. Right. We got to be the change that we want to see in the grappling world. Yeah. So one of those things was to actually get out there and mix it up on the feet, be it wrestling or judo. And so I was able to experiment, collect the data, look at the matches, study the footage, make the corrections on the mat. And in these 5 tournaments, I mean, it was amazing. You know what? I will be posting video footage about it over time. But if you look on Instagram, you'll see some of those side-by-sides that I did of certain throws, certain guard passes, certain sweeps. And it's amazing, man. It's just actually been a real trip.
That's awesome, man. Like you're taking it to a different level. So it's kind of like you get all your information, I'll say at a younger age. You have that gap where you took a break from competing, not from jiu-jitsu, from competing. And then you're like, I got a plan. I have a goal. And you put it all into perspective in what you're going to do, which is awesome. Like we need to see more people that do that in the community and break it down. You know what I mean? Like that's good on you. And don't ever sell yourself short and say, well, locally, like listen, man, you're a top black belt professor teaching people the right way to do jiu-jitsu legit. Like, so don't say that. I know it's hard to say good stuff about yourself. We know that we are humble, but I'm going to tell you, don't sell yourself short, brother. It's good, man. It's real good. So how's training going now?
Everything is going according to plan. Obviously, as I'm older and wiser, I've made a lot of changes to the way I train. And one of the things that I've done is just eliminated a ton of the sparring, just so that I'm not beating my body up, And that concept I got from the book, Talent is Overrated. It was narrated by Jeff Colvin. It's a phenomenal book on statistics on how to perform at elite levels. And one of the things that they were talking about, I think if I might be wrong, don't quote me on this, but I think it was Jerry Rice. They were talking about how when they prepared him to break the records, to set the records that he set, was to avoid a lot of the damage on the field. So when he was training, they were doing specific training, and they would use the example of a season starts and they have these camps and guys are in there just tackling all this stuff, doing all these different exercises.
Sure.
With him, they were like, listen, we're not going to do this general exercise or general workout for camp. We're going to work on what your capacity is and design the workouts to help you be faster at that, stronger at that, and then minimize the damage to the body, So I incorporate that into what I've been doing, and just, increasing the rate in training, doing a lot of drilling, similar to judo, like a lot of uchikomi, where you can really speed it up, get the same kind of workout, but not take the beating on your body, That's one of the main things that I've been doing in training.
Nice. What was the name of that book again?
Talent is Overrated.
Talent is Overrated. I'm always fascinated with books that I think can help people.
That book is
you know what I mean?
Studying the book since 2011 or something like that. It's definitely something that you want to keep handy. I have the audio book. I have the hardcover, so this way I can get in there and just go over these notes and information that I think is helpful for me on the mats, especially now that I'm a little older.
And it's awesome to hear you talk about you learned. And we talk old school, you started at a young age, getting into BJJ. And I know you did some threw boxing gloves on when you're a little kid, so you weren't, shy to the, let's say, fighting, combat, aggressive combat, type. I don't say fighting, but combat. Yeah. Thanks, Chad. Much better term to say in what we're talking about. But you learn over time, it's oh, I can't do that anymore. I can't go that hard anymore. My body's starting to break down. And it's funny because I tell Chad all the time, I'm like, oh gosh, my shoulders are killing me. I just told him today, I think earlier today, I was like, I went kind of really hard for 3 days and my shoulders are killing me. And I'm like, I gotta continuously learn, don't go as hard, man, relax. And, so.
I mean, I still feel the same, I felt that when I'm hurt on the mats because I'm overtraining, I felt like that when I was way younger too. It's no different. The difference then was that I didn't know that that was unnecessary. That doesn't make you better.
Right. Yeah, right. Exactly. It doesn't
necessarily make you better to just push and push and push and every session spar. It doesn't make you better. Resting makes you better. Recovery makes you better. Refreshing your mind, that makes you better. That makes you sharper. And so if I train every session in spar, I'm still going to feel the same way I did 10 years ago. It's just unnecessary.
Right.
Exactly. And I have the results to show it, to prove it, because I've been going out to compete.
Well, the proof is in the pudding, so to speak, as we say, it's there on the mat. The proof is on the mat because you've done it and you're doing it.
Some of those guys that you face, some people are like, Masters Division, bro. I was up against Omar Salem, man. This guy was I don't know. I think he was the title holder, the first, before Mafasina broke his record. He was the record holder for the Roosterweight category. So these guys are no slouch, man. These guys are they know what they're doing.
Yeah, they know what they're doing for sure.
Experience, man. These guys are deadly.
Yeah, it's not guys easier. in your it's not hey, you're not an old guy. You're not. You know what you're doing. You're legit, man. You've been around for a while. You're just masters.
In jiu-jitsu, we don't fall into a normal category of what will be considered an old guy.
No.
Right.
I know guys my age, they're out of shape, overweight, they change color from so much drinking and smoking. Even my wife sometimes, she's like, it's not fair, she says. She's like, I look like a 16-year-old when I take my shirt off, I'm like a 40-something-year-old with a 16-year-old body,
Yeah.
It's all right, brother. There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm not complaining.
I mean, and I'm sure your wife is like, I was going to say, see, that's all good. You think the practitioners now, they've gotten that, they've learned that, the younger ones, let's say the younger practitioners, to more to what you're speaking of, Jen and I have talked, and we talked on the show before many times of there's a transition now that the younger, they're not training the way that you and Chad may have trained when you were starting into this, like
some of them probably are.
Yeah, some. Well, yeah. And
they haven't learned yet.
They haven't learned yet.
I'll tell you one aspect they're not training the way Chad and I were training. I didn't use steroids.
Well,
there you go.
Right?
That's a big thing,
way.
Isn't it? Like
that's a game, man. That's a game changer.
It's bad, man. It's like they're kids doing it, and you're like, why? You're like 18 years old, dude. Like,
you have you don't need extra testosterone to get any stronger at this.
You really don't, man. 16, 17, 18 years old, man.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm 47 now and still bang with my 20s, 24-year-olds like nothing. And I'm like, I don't need it now. I'm blessed, right? Like I know sometimes when you get older, some people need it, because their testosterone levels go down.
Sure.
Thankfully, I haven't gotten to that point yet. But I'm like, what is a 20-year-old, 22-year-old doing that for? Like, I just don't understand.
I don't get it. Yeah.
It is kind of crazy. Like, I wonder, like, we talk. So I played football when I was obviously in school and whatnot like that. And there were some kids when I was that got busted when I was a junior, and there were some seniors that were
right. That's right.
They were loading with stuff. They were taking stuff, and you could tell in the weight room because you all of a sudden so and so wouldn't. Last year they couldn't do what they were doing, and you were like, "What? Like what's going on, man?" And then because some got caught.
You just reminded us that it's not limited to jiu-jitsu,
Yeah,
it's a jiu-jitsu thing, I don't know what it is. It's just like,
and that's like, I'm always like curious of and I say this, I was young, dumb, full of ego, wanted to just go hard, and stuff. But I still sit and think, I'm like, haven't we evolved enough as a society to go?
People still want that extra edge.
They do, don't they? Anything they can get, huh?
Yeah.
Man, wow, that just won't change.
I don't think that'll ever change.
I call it the win at all cost mentality.
Yeah. They want to win.
Where you just throw principles out the window, morals out the window. It's just I just gotta win. I don't care how I win.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if we'll start seeing more people get. You see, Felipe Pena got busted yesterday. They
I just saw that.
It.
Yeah.
You wonder if, and I didn't realize USADA was involved. I didn't know they were going that far to using USADA. Those guys don't mess around, obviously. So I wonder if you'll see more guys getting popped or anything.
That doesn't affect his and Gordon's match, right?
No, because he's suspended from IBJJF events.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I saw it on Instagram and
this is his second violation too.
Oh, wow. It is. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's unfortunate. I don't know what to say, because it's just like, if you're going to do something that can damage your ability to perform in the right way, let's say, I guess, you should probably not be doing it. Like, I guess taking that chance, especially at his age. I mean, he's older, right? How old is
man? Who knows, man? I can't speak for him, but I can.
Sure.
When you look at society, you just see this desire for instant gratification. Everything's fast. You got fast internet. You got fast. There was a van that drove past our school. In Spanish, it said "divorcio rápido." Like you don't even need the other partner to get a divorce now. It's almost like downloading on the internet. Everything is so fast, and people are trained, right? They're hardwired for that. Social media, everything. Quick. Let's go to the next thing. Swipe to the next thing. So it's like it's not a shock that people are taking that and living their lives like that in every aspect.
They're living it in the electronic world. Let's say like online, social media, everything. And they're trying to live it for real. Like every day, like they're trying to be like, that's really my life. Like, this is how it is. And it's like, that's probably not healthy, man, in the long term of things, but I don't know. I'm an old guy, kind of, I mean, I'm younger than both of you guys. So not that I couldn't get destroyed by both of you, like no matter what. So it wouldn't matter, but it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, man, sometimes it's okay to be old school, man, and that's one of the things that I promulgate to my students is the idea of, just like I mentioned about this competition, this 5 competition campaign, set a goal, make it measurable, make it attainable, and go after it, no shortcuts. Show up and do what you have to do. Plan everything out. Be smart. Everybody always says, to be successful, you got to train hard in jiu-jitsu. All right, I agree, but I'd rather train smart.
Yeah.
Train smart.
Like I said, you're proof that you don't have to. You don't have to be stupid. You don't. And I'm not saying people are stupid. You don't have to make unnecessary moves and decisions to be great at something. You can do the right thing, like you're saying, Joseph.
And I think, we've touched on it on several shows, Joseph, about, jiu-jitsu has evolved so much since I started in 2004, and it's like, exploded. But I think what we've done better is learned how to take care of ourselves and our students better, right? I think that part has evolved even more. When a new guy walks, when a new person walks in, we talk to them. It's like, hey, if this hurts, tap. Nobody told me to tap my first day. It's just like, go roll, go do,
No, I agree with you. The way we deal with them is a lot different than from when we started,
Yeah.
Luckily for me, I had, so a little bit of a background here. So before I started doing jiu-jitsu full time, I was a cosmetologist.
Okay.
And so,
oh, wow. No kidding.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So as a cosmetologist, I had access to a lot of very successful people. I was a really good barber. So I had a lot of people that were, affluent that would come to get their haircuts. And man, I didn't waste any time asking these guys questions before I started before I built the academy. How do you talk to, how do you answer the phone? Any tip that they would give me, I would write it down in my journal. And so fortunately for me, when I started, I just applied some of those basic principles that we all enjoy or don't. When you go to, for example, a nice restaurant, you might go to a restaurant and be standing there for 15 minutes and be like, you know what, I'm out. Or you might get to that restaurant where they attend you the first 3 or 5 seconds and the food is great, and you tell everyone about it. And so I just applied some of that, common sense and logic to my approach when people came to the school. And so right off the bat, we had great success because of that. So it was a little bit of research, and it was definitely a lot of great advice from people who already had opened their businesses, had success, had their ups and downs, warned me about the downs, and gave me tips on how to get to those ups,
Sure. You've always been an engager, haven't you? Like you've engaged people or what, and I know, and we haven't brought it up in the show, like the Cobra, like your nickname, and I know the background, and we can tell everyone in the show, like Joseph got his nickname because he would watch his professor and he would use his moves on him, which, let's be honest, I've been trying to use tripod sweeping on Chad for almost 2.5, 3 years now, and it's still not working. So clearly it doesn't work for Terry. It works for Joseph. All right. So, but anyway, joking aside, it seems like that has been your mentality, which I do this. Like I've learned a lot in watching people asking questions. Like I'm the dumb guy sometimes where people are looking at like, he's asking a question again. It's like, yeah, hey, or how do you do that? Or whatever, you know what I mean? So is that kind of how you've always approached everything, Joseph?
Yeah. So fortunately for me, I like to explain to my students to help them out. So this way they have a good perspective when they're observing a class. I tell them that at minimum, people learn 3 ways: one by watching, one by hearing, and the others they do by doing, right? They have to do, put their hands on, right? Some people I have in the class that I have to use analogies and examples and give video references to. Others I can use an elaborate, compilation of words there, and then they understand. So we have students that they either learn by one, or there's some of them that learn by all 3. The guys that can hear, they can see, and they can do. Yeah. I was that type of person, right? So I was blessed like that to be able to, I can see something and grasp and figure out the mechanics behind it.
Yep.
And then I can hear, you can just give me instructions. Hey, take 10 steps forward, make a 3 steps to the left, take 4 steps to the right. And I can follow the instructions clearly. And then obviously once I get my hands on and start working. So those are things that they obviously help me, watching. And in this case, with the reference you made to Mario, which was my first professor, I used to roll with him, but at the same time, we all do this, right? I'm not special. Just observe what he was doing. I was paying attention to what he was doing as well. And then I was trying to understand it. I drive home and I'm like, man, I felt that pressure here when he was a side control. He made me look this way. I couldn't turn, And then though I didn't fully understand it at the time, I was kind of like copying what he was doing. It got to a point where Mario thought that I was doing private lessons with another professor.
Oh man, which
I would tell him, no, professor, no, I'm not taking private with anybody. And like, there's no way you could have learned that. I'm like, yeah, but you did it to me, and I felt it, and I went home and I just thought about it and wrote it in my notes. And he just looked at me like, man, he knew he was dealing with something special.
That's awesome. And I think, you recognize that and you used it to your, you know, like you said, you're blessed. You use that to your life, like your life experiences and everything to project yourself to do that. Did that help you? Like, so how scary was it when you like moved to Brazil? Like you moved to Brazil and you're like, I don't know the language or anything. Did you?
Oh wait, so I didn't move to Brazil. I
thought you moved there. Okay.
No, I wanted to move. Yeah, wanted to and getting it done was two different
things. All right.
Yeah,
all right,
man.
All right.
I had plans and aspirations to. I wanted to go to Brazil, leave everything here in the US and just train 24/7.
And just
I don't know what was going to happen after that, but I know I probably would have developed the aspirations to become a world champion at some point. But at the time, that's all I could think of was like, I just wanted to get away from everything here and just train. I used to watch the Shaw Brothers films when I was a kid. Gordon Liu, you know, I want to be a monk, you know, to walk in the temple, burn his own marks in the head. And so that's kind of like what I wanted to relive, right? I wanted to kind of be my own to some degree, you know. But I did go to Brazil, and when I was there, I almost didn't come back because
I bet if you have that passion, it'd be hard for you to be like, I don't want to go back to that.
Man,
I want to stay here.
Back, man. I almost stayed there, you know. But I quickly adapted to the environment, you know. I was already speaking Portuguese, so that helped out. You know?
Oh, okay. So you already were speaking Portuguese. So okay. Cool.
So I was able to, you know, manage there, even though there's different, you know, they have Gíria, and then obviously there's different accents and dialects from different parts of Brazil.
Sure.
I had to kind of, for the first few days, just listen carefully and just engage people and then have them tell me a story. You know, I'm like, all right, so, you know, this here or this building or that statue or that location, explain to me the history behind it. So this way I can just sit back and like AI just collect the information and then start to understand the patterns of what they said, certain words, certain dialect, you know, not dialect, certain pronunciations. So this way, then throughout the rest of the time that I was there, I could easily mix in, right? They wouldn't be able to tell by my dialect that I was from outside, you know, because it could be dangerous, you know?
For sure.
It was a phenomenal experience. I didn't want to come back. It had everything that I needed, that I wanted. One, it had jiu-jitsu. There was jiu-jitsu everywhere. Great jiu-jitsu. Two, the food was phenomenal, you know? And then the only thing else I needed, I'm a simple guy. You could put me in a little corner. I'll be fine.
Yeah, you're fine. You know? Good to go.
The only thing I probably else would have needed was maybe, you know, a companion, but that wouldn't have been too hard to find either. You know?
When's the last time you've been back? You were there?
So I took a trip over to Brazil in 2019, just before the lockdown.
Just before the lockdown and everything.
Yeah. So
right on.
I was invited by one of my teammates who runs the RMNU Association in Brazil, Jean Rotandaro. And I had the honor of being able to go there and teach a seminar. It was like a camp. And so I had two presentations. And, you know, that was an amazing experience going there, teaching. I taught in Portuguese. Everyone received it very, very well. And I made a ton of new friends and met people that knew about me because of social media, but we never met. And then my wife and I drove to Santa Catarina. So we took like a 5-hour drive, man, and just saw pretty much all of Brazil there from Curitiba to Santa Catarina. And then we stayed there in 2 different locations for about a week and a half or 2 weeks or something like that.
Awesome.
So that was amazing. That was really amazing.
That's like I'm going to say a bucket list thing, but I mean, you're with your wife.
Yeah.
You got to spend 5 hours with your wife seeing something that maybe you'll never get to see.
Man, I had my drone. You know? We would pull over. I'm like, pull over real quick. See a farm. Take up the drone and just get footage of the farm. Like,
nice.
You know, nice. Like, hey, we're never going to get there. I'm like, just pull over real quick. I promise I won't be long. Take up the drone. It was amazing, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Speaking of, and this is maybe a distraction. Now that you mentioned drone, no one's filmed jiu-jitsu matches at a drone level, have they?
I don't think so.
Not that I can recall.
I wonder if that would be.
We had somebody come in the gym and do it. One of the students, he doesn't come in anymore, but he came in and filmed us all rolling one time.
Oh, really?
With the drone, yeah. Since we have high.
Did it come out good?
It's okay. It's different. Yeah, I mean, different.
We're just not used to seeing that perspective.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like when we see stuff on social media or YouTube or whatever from a drone, we're like, wow, that's pretty awesome. But then when we do see other things like games or sporting events, we're like, no, give me the other view that I've already seen. Yeah. Like, I want that view back. Like, I don't want to see up here. Like, this is terrible.
Yeah, I'm be on the lookout for that now. I'm be on the lookout to see if there's any
See, I just put an idea in your head. There you go.
You could probably make some cool Instagram reels with a drone, right? Some different angles. I bet.
I mean, like that's what I mean, because like you can do that 360 rotating around.
As long as you trust who's flying it.
Well, yeah, you want a good person who can fly a drone.
Yeah.
Which honestly, they are super hard to learn, but once you get that down.
Yeah, and you definitely got to have the space for that too. Like that's one rule that I follow is when I'm flying drones, I make sure nobody's around. I got cut one time. Was out in Aruba, flew up the drone, and then it was really windy over there. And man, she got caught in a tree. So I jumped over there. I grabbed it. When I grabbed it, spun around, whap, just sliced my arm. And so, I mean, I was always very careful. That was something that was out of my control, the wind. But
sure,
that reminded me, and has been something that I'm very careful with, is to make sure that thing is not around anyone. So now that we're talking about it, if anybody has any ideas of flying a drone inside of an academy, make sure that ceiling is really high, because you don't want that blade to catch somebody. It will slice someone's face, head. You'll have to get stitches immediately. You know, it's just a plastic blade. But at the speed that it does,
the RPMs on it, are ridiculous. And I mean,
very dangerous.
Yes, very, very. It's not like a fan, guys.
No.
It's not like, hey, I gotta stick my finger and stop that fan. You know, the old house fans that we used to be like, hey,
remember that? Old school toys.
Yes, old school toys. That's what
before PlayStation.
Right. Did you play games? Were you a gamer at all?
No, man. I got into, there was this one time I decided to get a PlayStation, and I think I played what's the name of that one? World at War? Is that the one?
There might have been a World War one.
I saw, because I wasn't real. I was a Nintendo
I just can't remember
guy
the name right now. Anyway, I started playing. I think it was like 9 p.m. And by the time I realized, I look out the window, the sun was rising.
See that?
I got sucked in, man. I got sucked in. You know, I was trying to conquer all those different war scenes. Never again. I put the joystick down. I was like, never again, because I already know what's gonna happen if I start playing games. I'm gonna get so sucked into it. I'll be like a gamer with the chair and everything, the headphones, and just never live life. You know,
dude. I talk. Yeah, I think that's because that's who we are as jiu-jitsu guys too. Whatever we're into, we're in. Like I'm in all in. I'm getting it all. People laugh about the story, but like before jiu-jitsu, like I grew up doing karate and different martial arts, but I had a time off and I started bowling, and I was into bowling. I had it all. Like I recorded the matches, and that just transitioned to jiu-jitsu once I got into jiu-jitsu.
Call of Duty, World at War.
Call of Duty. Okay,
yeah.
I know it was something World at War. I just couldn't remember Call of Duty. Yeah, man. You know, it was like everybody was talking about it. I heard my friends talking about it at the academy. Everybody's talking about it. And I was like, you know what? Ordered a PS. I don't even know what PS it was. Maybe it's like a PS3 or something. Yeah. And then, you know, I ordered Call of Duty. And I started with the missions, right? I went did a little bit of practice, and I started sniping everybody. And then I looked like this, and it was like the sun was up. I was like, man, I got to go teach a class at 9 o'clock. It was like 7 a.m. I was like,
no.
I was like Roberto Duran, no mas.
Done.
Just done. That's what happens
for the new generation that doesn't know who Roberto Duran was. He's a famous boxer, right? He's known for like not coming out because he Chad, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he have like a steak or something after he made weight, and that was the reason why?
He might have. I don't remember.
If I remember correctly, he weighed in, and then he went and had a big old steak with a glass of milk or something like that, and then got cramps in the fight. That's what he said.
Oh man, yeah.
Look into that.
Okay.
And look into that. Look into
that. Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, did you ever have a routine after you like weighed in for like your all your tournaments? Yes. Did you have like a certain routine that you stuck with all the time? Still do, maybe to this day?
I'm a lot more educated now in terms of weight cutting and stuff. But back in the day, I did have a nice little routine when I made weight. I already had like my water, Pedialyte, and I would call them like a carb bomb. I would take like those small bottles of water and then put oatmeal in it, and then put milk in it, and then just let it sit, you know, put it in the refrigerator and let it sit. So it was cold. And then by the time I got to the tournament and I weighed in, the oats were soaked. They were so soft.
Oh, yeah.
It was just like
just like cream. Joseph, you made overnight oats before overnight oats were a thing.
Yeah.
Because people now will be like, have you ever had overnight oats? And I'm like, you mean oats that you just soaked in something that you're going to do? Like we did that like when I was young. Kid, like that stuff isn't new. You just quit doing it and ate Lucky Charms all the time. That's why you guys don't know what that is.
That's right. That's right.
You know, so
that was the routine. You know, now it's a little different. Now I actually, you know, back then I was like, I had friends on the mat that wrestled or judokas, and then I'm like, how did you make weight? And then everybody had a different way. Some guys did like the water cut, like the wrestlers, like, oh, just drink a gallon of water every day.
Sure,
you know.
Yeah.
And then I had, you know, this other wrestler that was like, no, I don't do that. You know, I'll just like eat apple whites and then, you know, just drink orange juice from the orange, but don't eat the orange. And, and, you know, everybody had a different method, you know?
Yeah,
sure. So I used the one that was best for me, which was take out red meat first, like get rid of red meat, and then narrow down to like white meats, and then turkey, and then and fish, salmon, and then remove the sugars, you know, no cake, no soda, no soft drinks, which I didn't really drink much of that anyway, but I did have this habit of like every night I'd sit down and have like a piece of pound cake with some milk and stuff like that. Got rid of that, and then was down to vegetables and fruits, juicing. You know, I got the juicing from my first professor Mario, who was like very educated in the Gracie diet.
Okay.
And then when I had those like extreme cuts to like rooster weight, I'd get down to like nuts, grains, vegetables. And then, you know, that's how I did the cuts, you know?
Sure.
But now I hired a nutritionist, and it's a lot better. It's a lot, you know, I can get down easy just over a long period of time and just having a more balanced meal, you know, the things that I need. So this way I'm not like
draining. You can do it. You can do it. I'm not saying you didn't do it healthy before, but you can do it a little more
way healthier.
Not as rigid and, you know, maybe what we would say unhealthy versus like now you're like, oh yeah, nutritionist, like this is good. Like I can eat a complete meal and it doesn't have to be just like
when I told my nutritionist what I was doing in the past, this was her face the whole time.
Yeah.
Yikes. She's like grimacing the whole time, like bracing herself, like, nah, that's not good. That's not good. She's like, yikes. Like I thought I was doing it right. You know? Yeah. I mean, it worked.
Yeah. And that's what we do. We've done that. I've done that like forever. And I'll do all kinds of different things here and there. And I did that throughout my youth and stuff. But I'll read stuff now and I'll be like, ooh, like, all right.
I think that word cutting weight gets thrown around and misused a lot too, right? Like, are you cutting weight for this tournament? Well, that tournament's a month out or a month and a half out. If you're cutting weight, it's that week or that couple, you know what I mean? You're losing weight until that tournament, and we'll see where you're at, you know? Big difference.
You're right. It's just like culture, right? We just
it's just that word.
I'm
cutting weight.
Word,
yeah.
But that's interesting though. It makes a lot of sense. I'm actually going to borrow that, you know, when I'm addressing that to my students. You know, we're talking about losing weight and cutting weight, you know?
Yeah. Big difference.
Yeah, big difference.
Yeah, because someone might just come in to be like, I want to lose, you know, competing aside. You have students, I'm sure we have students that come in to East Coast all the time. I'm sure, Joseph, you have students all the time that come into Cutting Edge and they're like, I want to train, but I also want to lose weight. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, you can do that, you know.
It's probably going to happen if you do it right?
Yeah, if you do it right, it's going to happen.
It's just nature of the beast.
Sure.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
But you can't outwork a bad diet, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh, if you're eating that pound cake and milk every night, it's going to catch up with you.
Thankfully, no more. Ever since I got this, you know, it's been a while now, but since I got the nutritionist plan, it really, you know, changed so much that I don't have like the desire for like these sweets anymore. You know?
Oh yeah,
of what you're putting in your body, it changes that balance of craving that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like craving that little bit of sweetness or that little bit. When you get your fats and your macros are in order, you know, the proteins, the fats and the carbs and everything's right in your body and your body's functioning probably the way that we all should have our body functioning, then all those sugars and stuff, you're like, I don't need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My hard part is I have 3 kids and they're, you know, from 8 to 14. And it's like, Dad, are you eating dinner with us? I'm like, I'm making my own dinner because I'm eating chicken and you guys are eating pasta and I got to cut that out right now, or I'm not trying to eat all that, or, hey, we're getting pizza tonight. What are you eating, Dad? And I'm like, well, it looks like I'm eating a piece of fish or just a salad. So, okay. Awesome. And then it stings because you walk by the counters and I'm like, boxes of pizza. I'm like, this is great. I know. I'm like, my wife was like, you okay?
Exactly what he's talking about.
It's like, do you have any kids? Do you have kids, Joseph?
I do. I'm a proud father of 5.
Oh, awesome, man.
Nice.
Congratulations, brother. Good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It was always, when I was a young man, I was always one of my goals. Like my friends would be like, what do you want to do when you grow up? Like you ask in the conversation, everybody would be asking each other. And I have friends that were like, man, I want to go to New York. And, I want to be an architect and I want a big loft apartment. And other guys were like, I want to travel the world. And, and they'd be like, what do you want, Joe? I'm like, I want to have a nice big family. I'm like, what? Man, what?
There is nothing like family, like nothing like it when you have it and you're in it and you're dedicated to it. And like I have good people around me my whole life, and Chad heard me talk about this. Jiu-jitsu family too is like amazing, and that's something that I never thought I would have. Never knew that until I started it and was like, wow, this is a thing. Like this is cool. Like it's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
how's your academy doing?
Man, thankfully we're doing great. It's good to see not just my school, but everyone else's school doing great too after what we went through.
Yeah, for sure.
And I just see it everywhere. I don't think it's just my school. I see it all the academies, friends of mine, people that aren't friends of mine, that, you just see their classes packed, man. And that's a great thing, So we're fortunate to have, I think our class size like almost tripled.
Wow. Nice. Awesome. Good for you, man. I love hearing that, because of what we went through. It was very, very hard on people who have small businesses and stuff like, and especially in our world of close contact and martial art. I mean, it's like, so I'm glad, man. Good for you that it's going well and stuff. And that you guys are.
So we recently just got a nice influx of new students. And so we are actually, we have a beautiful hall. We have like 2 parts, the front and the back. So I have one of my black belts now that is taking them over there. And we're kind of like, I've always taught self-defense because I started training with Mario, who he trained like 15, 20 years with Elio, Hickson, Hoyler. And so he always taught it. And I was fascinated by it. So over the years, I think I opened in 2004 is when we first opened our academy. So over the years, I've always been very diligent to teach that, especially to our beginners. But recently, with this new influx of students, and I have my black belt take them to the back, where we're just focusing on that, kind of sort of like what like the Valentes brothers do, or Hito and Henner do. So with my other students, the guys that are purple, brown, black, we come over here and we do our judo, we do our wrestling, and we do all the variations that we can possibly discover in jiu-jitsu, butterfly guard, half, worm guard, you name it. We just do anything that we can, whatever the theme of the month is. But with them, we're just taking them through those initial stages, and I want them to be really, really solid with like the self-defense techniques, because it's easier to teach them some of the more complicated variations and if they have this little basic intro to it,
Yeah, 100%.
So it's great. I see this growing. Both we come in on a Monday or any night, and it's like both halls are packed. It's really awesome to see, and I can really see this growing a lot more.
Awesome. Very
awesome.
Cool. Yeah. That's very good. Hey, do you guys get a lot of LEOs, like first responder and police officers?
We have a nice amount of them. I wouldn't say we get a lot of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I definitely have a lot of LEOs that have been with me for like 10 years.
Nice.
I have some that have been with me 15 years. We have a nice a group of guys that recently came in from the academy about 3 years ago. Okay. We try to do some of like the adopt a cop thing. We try to do like a seminar because where we are in Harrison, it's like literally like maybe 10 minutes from Newark, and then you have, which is a major city, then you have Jersey City, and these are two big cities where the cops, they really need to know this stuff. A lot of violence.
Yeah, that's why I asked. Like I always ask the academy owners. I'm just curious. I mean, we've had people on the show that's what they do. They teach a lot of LEOs and stuff, and they are in that world and stuff within the BJJ. And I'm always curious, like how many are going in? Because I would obviously we all would love it if They all came in all the time.
Yeah, I got a feeling that it's kind of the same for all of us. Like you have some, but obviously you wish a lot more trained, right? And it's hard to get that education to them that, hey, you need this.
Yeah, we did a seminar and we offered them like, you know, some free training. And man, shockingly, man, none of them took advantage of it.
Yeah, I feel you.
Shame.
No,
and
it's
you know, we've talked about it. I think there's a lot of ego involved, right? You're coming into somewhere where you're not going to be the top dog too.
and you can't pull out your gun.
Well, I mean, you know,
I mean, choked.
There's a lot of different things, you know, being out of shape, you know, all that.
There's a huge platter of stuff that can be fixed by just showing up to a BJJ academy.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I really do wish that more of them would, you know, take it up.
For sure.
Take it serious. You know, they have a really big responsibility to protect, you know, themselves, one, and just protect, you know, people. And it's like,
for
tough,
sure.
Man. That's a tough job, man. It's a really tough job.
And that's, I mean, I love, you know, LEOs. I respect them greatly because of that reason, like you're saying, Joseph. I mean, let's be honest, man, they're risking their life all the time. Those who are on the street constantly, and the stuff that they have to deal with and the people that they have to deal with. I wouldn't want to do it. I thought I wanted to do it when I was younger. When I was a kid, that was one profession I thought I was going to go into. And I have a relative that went into it, and they still are and very good at it. But it's just like, I look at it and go, oh, thank God I didn't do that. Cause I just don't know.
Tough, man.
It's just so tough.
Everybody hates you, man. You know,
it's like,
man. I have twin boys that just graduated high school.
Okay.
And one of them wants to be a cop, and it's, you know, he's going through the schooling. They graduated at 17. So they're pretty young. So he has a while to make up his mind, but it's like, man, that's a tough, as a parent, especially, right? And the world we live in right now, where when us three grew up, we respected cops, you know, it was yes, sir, you know, and all that. And it's not like that anymore. It's way different. So
it's sad too that like, Chad, you and I have talked about it. It's sad that has died. Like,
oh man, it's
just, I don't know. And maybe I'm just naive.
No, it's like, not. And I've even I've even told, no, it doesn't. And I've told other LEOs and officers that I know, hey, my son wants to be a cop, and they're like, tell him to be a fireman, you know, because they would change it, I think, if they could, you know. They're like, people like firemen.
Your kids train?
That's true, right?
Yeah, they do. Fire truck, come here.
It's so funny. I was having a conversation with one of my black belts, Frank, this weekend. We went to Rochester to teach at a camp that they had there, and on the way, he's a fireman. And then you know, he brought up that he's like, you know, everywhere I go, you know, sometimes his wife is an attorney, and he would get more credit. You know, they'd be like, oh, what do you do? She's, I'm an attorney. Oh, what do you do? I'm a fireman. And they're like, thank you for your service. And she's like, man, you know,
like, man,
but then he said to me, but you know what, Joseph, you know what's one job I couldn't do? A paramedic, man. I can't. He's like, you got to give a big shout out to them. And he's like, and I said, you know what? It's interesting that you mentioned that, because they don't really get that kind of, you know, no one ever says to a paramedic, thank you for your service. And they have to deal with some crazy
stuff, man.
Like in the heat of craziness, like pulling up in the heat of whatever the heck is going on, and they have to be hands-on and then dealing with people that are upset, screaming, yelling, whatever's happening. Yeah, you're right. 100%. Right. And they don't have like
about to die.
Yeah. It's like,
and so I told Frank, you know what, Frank, I'm going to try to use my platform a little more to make sure that we make a little bit of room for them and give all of them a shout out. So here we go to all the paramedics out there.
Absolutely.
You know, big shout out. Thank you for your service. You probably don't get any recognition for what you do. And we are grateful for you, man.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah, for sure. For if you didn't choose to be in that profession, a lot of people might not be here. So don't ever forget that. You mean something, and you belong, you have a purpose, and you're doing it. So keep doing it, you know. Well, Joseph, we kept you for almost an hour. Why don't you do this, man? So what do you got plans? What's your plans, brother, for the rest of 2022?
Man, I got a lot of plans, brother. I got a lot of plans. So we're working on different fronts here. You know, I have plans for my academy. I have plans as a competitor. Obviously, as I mentioned before, I see the academy growing. So we're obviously gonna push that. I'm looking to do some renovation in here, even though it's beautiful in here. you know, we haven't changed anything around for a few years. And so I'm thinking about putting down some mats and redoing the walls. This way the students feel like, you know, they're coming into a nice new place. So that's always there. The school working on building, helping people, as many people as possible, the children's program, helping them. And as you stated, you mentioned just a little while ago about that respect factor. That's one of the things that we obviously have a very powerful tool to use to instill that in our youth, the idea of respect,
right on,
right, of courtesy, of empathy. So I try to take advantage of that to educate our youth. That's always going to be my number one goal. You know, as a competitor, you know, we're getting ready now, second half of the year, to jump into a few more events. Got Masters Worlds. I am literally about to have stem cell surgery.
Oh,
injection.
are you? Okay.
So I've been doing a string of seminars. We had proposed to do a few seminars. I've been reaching out to some professors, and a lot of them graciously accepted my request to do a seminar, because the idea was to raise funds for me to get the surgery. So I have herniation in C6, C7, C3, severe impingement of the nerve.
Yeah.
And so I want to keep teaching. You know, if I have a traditional surgery that leaves me at a 50-50, I might as well just stay the way I am. I'm having a little bit of problem sleeping and loss of feeling in the arm.
In your arms. Okay.
So these instructors and professors have been so gracious. They allow me to go and teach. I've raised the funds. Like we say in Spanish, I saved up mi chavitos. I saved up the money. And so for the last week of July, I'll be down at the Chispa Hospital and getting my injection. So that is a big goal that we were working on. And I'm still not complete with it. But that being said, depending on the recovery time, I don't know if I'll be able to jump into Masters Worlds, because I got to really see what they say about it, if I should stick or whatever. But if I'm good to go, then we will be there, and that will start off our next campaign for 2023.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. That's so awesome.
And, so we're going to try to get in there and accomplish that goal of creating a nice list of accolades in the black belt division to match what I won from blue to black from 2004 to 2013.
Nice.
Very cool.
That's very cool. Well, tell everyone how to get at you and find your academy and everything. Anything, and we put everything in the show notes so they can get to you, they can find you, you know, anything they can do. And if there's anything that Chad and I can do, obviously always reach out, you know, promote something on the show or whatever, man, let us know. That's what we want to do for the community in BJJ. We want to give this as a platform for people to educate, express themselves, and to show others that this is an amazing martial art to be involved in. And we want to pay it forward. We want to give people the best.
We have an amazing community, man. When I started the campaign to do the seminars to raise the funds for the surgery, I'll be honest with you, I was in the closet with my student Diego, and he was like, "Sensei, man, how are you gonna do it?" I said, "Well, I don't really know. You know, it's gonna take some time, maybe just with the school." And you know, this was like after the lockdown, so we were still trying to build back. I said, maybe when we get to a point where the school is stable and then there's extra profit, we can put the money to the side. He's like, "Man, you don't know how long it's going to take." I don't know. I don't know what else to do. He said, "Why don't you do seminars?" And I responded to Diego and I said, "Who's going to want to do seminars with me, bro?" And he said, "Professor, don't think like that."
Yeah, don't think like that. You know, everyone, man.
And then I looked at him. I was like, he's like, "Man, you know, you post great stuff on your Cobra account." He's like, "You know, I'm sure people, you know, asked." I was like, "No, nobody's asked me for privates. Nobody's asked for it." But then that same weekend, bam, I get a DM and someone reached out and they're like, "Man, I just saw that technique you posted. Do you do seminars?" I was like, "You got to be kidding me, bro." So just that whole conversation started this energy. And then it started.
That's how it works, man. That's how.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about that a lot.
Yeah. And I wanted to say that before we cut off too. Like, that's how I first saw you on Instagram. Either somebody shared you or it was in my suggested feed. Like it's, you know, been years now, but that's what I started watching you do, is your little Instagram reels or videos, man. And there you had so much detail in a small clip. And I just wanted to commend you on that. I love the way you teach and, you know, really, really emphasize that technique.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's been amazing. Again, to the point was that we have an amazing community. These guys that I reached out to, some people reached out on their own, but then there were, you know, I got the energy, right? I said, You know what? If I never ask, the answer is always going to be no.
Yep.
So let me reach out. And I reached out to a few people and they were like, "You know what, Professor, mark the date." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, these guys are lifesavers." So in a very short amount of time, I was able to do these seminars and raise the funds, save everything, and then just pay for the whole thing. And I'm
I love
thankful for
hearing
them,
that.
for the guys that are listening, all you guys that contributed. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. My students are going to appreciate it. My family's going to appreciate it. And, you know, and I do the same thing, gentlemen. I'm out there, you know, I don't really post it like that on social media because I try to be a little more like discreet. But I'll just share I'll just share with you something real quick in regards to that. So I recently met a student that unfortunately had a terrible accident on the mat and broke her neck.
Oh my.
She had to go through, you know, replacement, disc replacement surgery, but she's still training, man. She's still training. Man. And so I heard about it. It really moved me. I actually made some changes on the mats here at the school because we've been talking about that all week, you know, the idea of keeping our students safe. And so what I did was I reached out to this person and said, hey, we got this grand seminar coming up. And I kind of borrowed this from Tom DeBlas, you know, in that he always, you see him post on social media like, hey, you know, I'm just going to pick some random person and fly them out. Yeah. I just didn't post it on social media for everybody to see. I just kept it quiet in the DMs. And so there's a lot of exchange like that in my DMs with people who need help or need advice. You know, the other day there was some student in a situation with his school where he was thinking about leaving. And I told him, listen, buddy, talk to your professor. Don't leave the school. You know, make sure that before you burn that bridge, man, you have a conversation with him. If it comes to the point where it's irreconcilable, then okay. But there's a lot of that going on from my end as well, because it works both ways, right? The community helps me. Yeah. And I give back to the community as well, you know?
For sure.
Yeah. Appreciate that for sure, man. And
so we are on Instagram is the place to be right now. You know?
It is.
Facebook is dying out.
That's right.
Even though it's still owned by Facebook, but
the meta world, it's going. I don't know what's happening there.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I go post a video on Facebook and it's like 2 or 3 likes. I post it on Instagram, it's like 18,000 views. You know?
Right. You're like, huh? I don't know what's going on here. I know. Same thing with the show. Even for us, it's like, wait a minute. But
so we are on Instagram at Cobra, and the Academy account is at @cuttingedge_BJJ. And we're just, you know, sharing information there, and we're there as a public servant to share the little knowledge we have and then help the community as well, you know, in any way that we can, you know.
Awesome. Well, Joseph, thank you so much, man, for hanging out with Chad and I. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
God bless you in your surgery and everything that you're doing. Keep up the great work. Keep teaching those people and, you know, passing on that torch and that great knowledge, man. God bless you and your family. Stay safe and keep after it, my brother.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it, man. Awesome time with you guys. It felt like 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that's good, because then maybe down the road we can do another part. Yeah, that's right. And see how it's going. Sure. I would love to talk to you like when you're done. Like I just want to make sure you're all right. Make sure things are going well. You know what I mean? Like
I'd love to share, you know, the results with the people that are listening, tuning in. You know, I'm definitely going to post some stuff on social media, but it can reach even more people via your platform. I mean, this is a great thing, you know. And I found out about it through Rafael Lovato.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
you remember when he had his and he started posting it?
Yep.
And I was like, man, I started scratching my head because I didn't really know. I was doing some research, asking around, like, where should I go? And I saw that Gordon Ryan had posted about some place in Houston. And then so I was like, you know, let me get these numbers together and then I'll make a call. But then when I saw Rafael, he posted the before and after, I was like, dude, this is amazing.
Yeah. And he's recovered quite well because he's competing.
Yeah. So maybe we could talk about that in the future.
Yeah, that's so awesome, Joseph.
Hey guys, enjoy your weekend. What's left of it, man.
Thanks, man. You too. Appreciate it very much, brother.
We'll talk.
All right. We'll see you.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Later.